Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today as we embark on a really fun journey into the hidden mechanics of human communication. We're going to explore the fascinating landscape of language, specifically looking at how a powerful tool known as a corpus can completely change the way we understand meaning. We'll be looking closely at authentic, everyday examples of language to see what they reveal about the words we use all the time. Just think about this quote for a second. Sometimes words seem simple until we see how they are actually used. It's so easy to fall into the trap of thinking that if we can just recite a word's definition, well, we truly know everything about it. But there is a massive difference between a static textbook definition and actual real-world usage. Language is a living, breathing thing, and today we're going to unpack exactly why that matters. So here is our game plan for today. We'll start with beyond the dictionary, then move into synonyms and antonyms. After that, polysemy and homonymy, followed by the hypomony hierarchy, and finally, we'll wrap up with the corpus toolkit. Let's dive right into section 1, beyond the dictionary, looking at dictionaries versus authentic usage. Think about the stark contrast between these two tools. Dictionaries are incredibly useful, obviously, because they tell us what a word means in a very strict, definitive sense. But then you have the corpus. A corpus is a massive collection of texts that shows us how people really, truly use those words in everyday life. So while a dictionary gives you the flat rules, a corpus reveals the living, breathing patterns of how we actually communicate. All right, moving into section 2, synonyms and antonyms, where we'll explore the nuance of choice and opposites. Let's anchor ourselves with a quick definition. We all know synonyms are words with similar meanings. But the absolutely crucial caveat for us today is that second part. They are rarely completely interchangeable in authentic language. Just because two words mean the same thing on paper doesn't mean you can just swap them out wherever you please. Here is a perfect real-world example to show you what I mean. Take the phrase big mistake. Say it out loud. It sounds completely natural, right? We hear it all the time. But now try saying large mistake. Technically, big and large are synonyms, but large mistake just sounds kind of off, doesn't it? It's much less natural to our ears. When we look at corpus data, it proves that these synonyms are definitely not always interchangeable in the real world. Now let's flip the coin and look at antonyms. These are, of course, words with opposite meanings. But again, we aren't just memorizing definitions here. By looking at a corpus, authentic examples reveal the very specific situations that these opposite words require in order to sound natural. Take a pair of classic antonyms like hot and cold. By examining authentic examples in our corpus data, we start to see the specific nuanced situations where each word fits perfectly. It's not just about temperature, it's all about context. A corpus shows us that we naturally say a hot debate, but a cold reception. These specific nouns actually attract one word over the other. Okay, on to section 3, polysemy and homonymy, dealing with multiple meanings and identical spellings. So what is polysemy? It's a relationship where a single word has multiple related meanings. And the secret to unlocking which meaning is intended, it is entirely determined by the surrounding context. It's honestly fascinating how one single word can adapt and shift its identity depending entirely on the sentence it lives inside of. Let's break this down step by step using the word run. We can easily find 3 distinct contextual meanings for it. First, run can mean to move quickly, like running a marathon. Second, it can mean to operate a business, as in she runs a successful bakery. And third, it can mean to execute a process, like when you run a computer program. It is the exact same word with these related ideas of continuous action, but the surrounding context tells us exactly which intended meaning is in play. Now we have to distinguish that from homonymy. Homonymy occurs when words happen to share the exact same spelling, but they have completely different, entirely unrelated meanings. The meanings aren't connected by some core concept like they were with run. They just happen to share the exact same letters. A brilliant illustration of this is the word bat. On one hand, it refers to a flying animal that comes out at night. On the other hand, it refers to a piece of sports equipment used in baseball. Although the spelling is absolutely identical, the meanings literally have zero connection to each other. This really highlights just how vitally important surrounding context is when you're navigating authentic language. All right, section 4, the hyponymy hierarchy, where we go from broad categories to specifics. Hyponymy is basically the structural relationship between general, broad words and the very specific words that neatly belong to them. It's the way our language naturally organizes itself into umbrella terms, and then the specific members that fit underneath that umbrella. Think of it literally like an umbrella. Our broad category, the umbrella term, is fruit. Nestled perfectly underneath that broad word are the specific words apple, banana, and orange. They all belong to that larger concept. Understanding this hierarchy just helps us see the hidden architecture of the vocabulary we use every single day. Which brings us to our final stop, Section 5, the Corpus Toolkit, where we'll look at strategies for investigating language. So the crucial takeaway here is this. When you're investigating authentic language yourself, don't just stop at the dictionary definition. Use this 4-point toolkit. First, pay attention to frequency. How often does the word actually appear? Second, look at co-occurring words. What other words commonly hang out around it? Third, observe the contexts used. What is the overall situation? And finally, test for interchangeability. Are words that seem similar truly swappable, like our big and large mistake earlier? By applying these tools and really exploring authentic language, you are going to start noticing things you never saw before. Corpus linguistics reveals the hidden patterns of vocabulary and meaning that dictionaries alone simply can't show us. A dictionary is a great starting line, for sure, but the corpus, that gives us the full, authentic picture of human communication in action. So here is my final exciting question for you to take away today. Now that you have this framework and you know exactly what to look for, what hidden patterns will you find in everyday language? The next time you read an article or just overhear a conversation at a coffee shop, keep your ears open for those synonyms, those homonyms, and those crucial context clues. Have so much fun exploring, and thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.